25th President of the United States, President Donald J. Trump.
On November 6th, Americans will head to the polls to decide if Donald Trump's Republican Party will keep control of Congress.
A referendum on his presidency.
Not on the ballot, but in a certain way, I'm on the ballot, so please go out and vote.
The Russian government will be watching the returns closely, especially those coming out of Orange County, California.
America is winning against these left-wing fanatics.
That's where Dana Rohrabacher is fighting a very close race for re-election in one of the Republicans' most vulnerable districts. Rohrabacher has served 15 terms in the U.S. House of Representatives. A lifelong Republican, he's a guitar-playing surfer who favors marijuana legalization. He was also an assistant press secretary to Ronald Reagan at the height of America's standoff with the Soviet Union. And Rohrabacher wasn't just an armchair Cold Warrior. He actually took part in fighting the Soviet army. This is him alongside a mujahideen infantry unit in Afghanistan, just after his election to Congress in 1988. But in recent years, Rohrabacher has undergone a mysterious political transformation that's left many of his colleagues, his opponents, and even his own electorate wondering what happened.
You talk about human rights abusers in China. Much can be said about Russia as well.
Oh, baloney. Where do you come from?
Mr. Putin is demonized by a lot of people here.
I don't care who provided us those emails. People are giving the American people more information. Why are you so upset about it?
Rohrabacher has made a name for himself defending Russian President Vladimir Putin. When Russia invaded Georgia in 2008, that was Georgia's fault. Russia's invasion of eastern Ukraine and its annexation of Crimea, he doesn't think Russia deserves all of the blame. When Rohrabacher first met Vladimir Putin in the early 1990s, they arm wrestled at a bar in Washington, D.C. Rohrabacher was impressed with Putin's toughness, and evidently the flattery went both ways. In 2012, the FBI warned the congressman that the Russians were trying to recruit him as a spy, but that didn't stop his curious habit of hanging out with Russian intelligence operatives. In February 2017, he dined in Washington with SVR agent Maria Butina. Butina has since been arrested and indicted for conspiring to act as an undeclared Russian spy in the United States. Rohrabacher's even dropped in on WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange at the Ecuadorian embassy in London. Assange has been accused by the CIA of colluding with the Kremlin to undermine the United States. And if that's not enough, Rohrabacher has frequently been seen in public with Rinat Akhmetshin, a former Soviet intelligence officer who is now a lobbyist in D.C. I myself asked Rohrabacher last year if he thought Akhmetshin was still working for the Russian security services. He said he wouldn't be surprised. And then there's the Magnitsky affair. Sergei Magnitsky was a Russian tax lawyer who uncovered massive corruption and theft by Russian government officials. But the perpetrators he identified had him arrested on flimsy charges of tax evasion. He was tortured in prison, where he eventually died. In response, the US Congress passed the Magnitsky Act, designed to sanction the perpetrators of the original crime and cover-up. Not surprisingly, Vladimir Putin has spent millions on lobbyists in Washington trying to weaken this legislation. So who are these lobbyists? None other than Rohrabacher's acquaintance Rinat Akhmetshin and his partner Natalia Veselnitskaya. If Veselnitskaya's name is familiar, it's because she's the same Russian lawyer who famously met with Donald Trump Jr., Paul Manafort, and Jared Kushner at Trump Tower to offer so-called dirt on Hillary Clinton. But just weeks before that fateful meeting at Trump Tower, Veselnitskaya met with a sitting US congressman in Moscow, Dana Rohrabacher.
It is imperative we work with the Russians instead of treating them like a hostile power.
House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy, a fellow Republican, was secretly recorded talking about Rohrabacher last June. There's two people I think Putin pays, he said, Rohrabacher and Trump. Dana Rohrabacher has been traveling in the Kremlin's orbit for years. The difference now is that his constituents are starting to notice. But with Congress hanging in the balance, the big question isn't whether Rohrabacher will lose his district, but how long Republican leadership can ignore Putin apologists in their own ranks. Rohrabacher, after all, isn't the only one.